On this episode of Eye in the Sky, we're going to see the Vikings defense put CJ Stroud on a pretty rough day. We're going to watch Jonathan Greenard start to heat up, Jalen Redmond get his first career sack, and Ivan Pace to continue to show the NFL why he should not have been an undrafted rookie free agent. All this and more as we explore every single sack of the Vikings 2024 season right here on Eye in the Sky. Now, one of the most valuable tools for any defense is the ability to create deception, to show an offense one thing and give them something completely different. Why? Because it creates insecurity, creates hesitation, and we know he who hesitates is dead. So just imagine right now, CJ Stroud getting up to the line of scrimmage. What is he seeing? He's seeing 5 rushers up front, but he's seeing a middle open type defense. So he thinks he knows what he's going to get, but on the snap of the football, he's going to get anything but that. You're going to get a 5-man rush, but as this thing breaks down, you're really getting a 3 under, 3 deep type of a look. Yeah, this tight end is eventually going to come open here to the outside, but he does not have time. This hesitation we're going to see in the ability to coax an offense to block the wrong guys, we're going to get a perfect view of this on the end zone. So when they're setting this thing up, you'll see this tight end go across, gets himself set. What happens? Laramie Tunsil right here. He's pointing to the outside saying, hey, you, the tight end, are going to block this outside linebacker. Now, I just, for the life of me, can never understand why offenses do this. This is not how it's set up. Any coach who draws this up and says, yeah, we're going to have a tight end blocking Jonathan Greenard on a play fake, deep drop, it's insane. These tackles get paid millions just to block these outside linebackers, and you're going to let a tight end do it? This is a disaster in the making, and we're going to see exactly that right here. As, look at this front, right? You're getting 3 defensive linemen. They're looping this way, but now you have Greenard on the outside, one-on-one on a tight end, and a linebacker on a running back. So you have 2 non-offensive linemen blocking 2 very good pass rushers. It's set up for a win. That's what all that disguising, it's what all that is set up to do. And watch Greenard right here on the outside. He just takes his tight end right down the middle like he's not even there. And it's an absolute blow up of the quarterback. I just never understood why, for the life of me, why offenses want to put a tight end on an outside linebacker. All right, so the second sack comes with 21 seconds left to go in the second quarter, and that's important because, I mean, the Vikings know that the Texans are going to throw the football. This is a passing type down, and that's kind of how this thing gets set up. And as the Texans get themselves ready for pre-snap, you see a couple of things. You know that you have a offense, their protection, they're on their heels when they start doing this. Whenever you start seeing 2 backs in the backfield, that is for protection. That's because they don't know what they're going to get up front. Because what you end up doing here is limiting the number of guys you can put in a route. This is only going to end up being a 3-man route. Now, from a coverage standpoint, what we're getting here is basically Tampa 2, which is your basic 2-minute defense, right? You have 1, 2, Josh Metellus here in the middle of the field. He lined up back there. So he's basically that middle linebacker in Tampa 2. So you have a deep half on either side, Metellus here in the middle, cloud corner, and then 2 underneath hook defenders. But what's going on up front is what's really special and what causes this sack, and you'll see it from the end zone. When the Vikings line up, you can see the imbalance from the beginning, right? Something's up. Anybody who sees this knows that something's up. You have 1, 2, 3 pass rushers to the left of the center. So they know this is where they're going to get a bunch of it. You're going to have the one-on-one over here with Jonathan Greenard. But watch this game. Watch this stunt. You're basically going to get a 3-man type of a stunt up front. You're getting the penetration here by Jihad Ward. You got Patrick Jones penetrating here. And what does that allow? That allows Van Ginkel to loop himself all the way around and get into this gap that's created. All right, that puts the pressure on the center here. He's got his shoulders turned. He can't see. He's got his head buried on Jihad Ward, who's really just crushing that A gap. So once Van Ginkel makes this turn, this center has absolutely nowhere to go. This guy right here is in trouble. He puts an arm out to try to stop him, can't do it. Receivers aren't even looking back at the quarterback yet, and Van Ginkel is already on him. So the second sack of the day comes from a 2-minute pass rush stunt right there by Andrew Van Ginkel. All right, so now we get into the third quarter. There's about 10 minutes left to go. The Vikings are up by a couple of scores. It's 21-0 actually at this time. And you're going to see how this deception continues. So watch CJ Stroud and what this Vikings front looks like before the snap. Right now you have 1, 2, 3, you have 4 really defensive linemen up front, but all the movement, right? All those guys moving around up front, not giving away what they're doing. This ends up only being a 4-man rush, but what you're bringing is Harrison Smith off the outside, and you're able to drop Andrew Van Ginkel out into coverage. This ends up just being cover 2, right? Watch when Stroud gets to the top of his drop, this is deep half safety. You've got your Mike linebacker here in the middle, but look at this. Josh Metellus out here playing corner. This is what I mean when I say Brian Flores needs players who are versatile, right? You have all different types of guys dropping in different spots. You have Andrew Van Ginkel, an excellent pass rusher, outside linebacker. He's dropping into coverage underneath, right? Metellus is out here really playing where a corner goes. It doesn't allow the quarterback of the opposing team to be able to look, see a number and say, that guy is going to do A and that guy's going to do B. It really creates a lot of confusion. So out of just a 4-man rush, you're able to get to the quarterback. So how do we do it? Well, the end zone, I think, even gives you a better idea. And the key, I think, here is the unselfishness of the front, okay? Again, we're getting a slant. You're going to get all these guys in the interior slanting to their right, but it's really Jonathan Greenard who takes this edge and he wants to shorten it. Why? Because he wants to give Harrison Smith, who's going to blitz off the edge, just the shortest route to the quarterback there is, right? So when this ball is snapped, watch Greenard, boom, he gets into this guard. Now this guard, we've said it a million times here, look at the shoulders, right? He is perpendicular to the line of scrimmage. Anytime you can get an offensive lineman turned, you're in good shape. So this is a perfect example of Greenard beating a guard, not just going up against the tackle, but coming down, beating the guard, getting off, able to chase CJ Stroud down for the sack. So keeping these guys on the move just absolutely befuddles these offensive linemen, and it creates opportunities. Let me start on this play by saying the defense doesn't go into a game with 50 different calls. Basically, you'd only be able to call one defense per game, right? Because 50, you only get 60 some plays a game. So when something works, you want to run it again. We've seen this blitz before and it worked. Well, it's about to work again. So what do we have? You have 1, 2, 3, 5 guys at the line of scrimmage. Harrison Smith walked up here on the top, and you're only going to get a 4-man rush. And what coverage are you going to get? Tampa 2. It started out looking like 3 deep. Again, Stroud not knowing what he's going to get by just seeing what the safeties are doing. Deep half here, deep half here. You got a linebacker in the deep middle. Patrick Jones right here. Again, Josh Metellus out here playing what a corner would normally play, right? The versatility coming into play. All of this makes the guys up front, CJ Stroud, a little bit hesitant. And you'll see a little bit of a change on this pass rush that really pays dividends to the Vikings defense. Watch. You have only 4 guys are going to be going on this play. So you're going to have 1, 2, and then a little bit of a stunt here on the outside. So they're going to switch it up a little bit, right? You're going to have, Greenard and Harry Smith just saying, all right, we're going to do things just a little bit different. This time, however, the Texans do what? They slide the line. So they're sliding their offensive line, keeping big on big here. And then now the running back is going to step up and get Harry. But it's Phillips right here in the middle, able to beat the guard, get up the field, and then do this. Now that Stroud has turned his back, he's got problems. A little bit of a switch up over here. Now you got the offensive lineman on Harrison Smith. Greenard over here is just kind of holding up because he has late contain. If anything happens, hangs in there. Stroud's still running around. Phillips misses him a second time. And then Greenard goes, all right, let me go in here and take care of business here. Deception, again, being a huge factor. And finally, with the fourth sack of the day, you're going to let some of the young guys get out there and have some fun. It's 34-7. We've seen this kind of a look before, right? So even with a younger quarterback to back up, Flores isn't calling off the dogs here, right? So just before this ball is snapped, as a quarterback, again, what are you seeing? Well, you're seeing zero blitz. There is no deep middle safety. This is one-on-one across the board. So the quarterback should know right now, I got to get rid of this football quickly. It doesn't quite happen that way, but great coverage down the field. There's really nowhere to go with the football. Had a route across the middle that, had he been able to stay upright, would have been able to get to. And then, I look at this end zone and I love it because you're seeing guys like Bo Richter out here on the outside, Asamoah right here, Jay Ward at safety. So these young guys get out there, and Flores is being aggressive with them. He's saying, you know what? I'm going to treat you just like I am anybody else. We're going to go out and we're going to get after this quarterback. But watch, again, what the pressure does. You're sending one more than they could possibly block, and this is just an absolute mental error. Because once this play kind of develops, we've talked about zero blitz before as an offense. What do you want to do? You don't want to allow penetration on the inside. If you're going to turn someone free, let it be this outside rusher because he has the longest route to the quarterback. In this case, watch the two offensive linemen from the Texans right here. First guy, he's blocked on Redmond, right? This looks good. See, it's going to take Ward a long time to get around this edge. Jihad Ward could help by shortening it, by coming underneath. But these offensive linemen decide, no, I'm just going to pass this thing off. They turn Jalen Redmond free. You get a good flash up the middle, some middle penetration right here. And Redmond goes, man, I'm not missing this layup. The first sack. And hopefully, again, a young career. But what a surprise this guy was. He came up and made some big plays this year. To continue on with the art of deception, showing an offense one thing and then giving them something completely different against the Green Bay Packers. This ends up really being a coverage sack. Why? Again, put yourself in the quarterback's position, right? Jordan Love getting on the line of scrimmage, seeing the defense set up. He doesn't know exactly what he's going to get. However, what he does believe is that he's going to get some type of 3-deep type of a look. Could be man free, but it's probably 3-deep. You have one safety here, a safety here, and then another safety up top, but he's going to get something completely different. Could 5 guys rush? Could 4? He doesn't know. The offensive line needs to figure that out, but he doesn't get the coverage that he wants or thinks he's going to get. Because once this football is snapped, you're getting your cover 2. Again, the ability to play cover 2 out of a zone blitz, not a lot of teams can do it. Here's that triangle right here. Deep safety, the corner, the linebacker hooked up on one side, safety, hook dropper, and then the late flat defender, again, over here. Jordan Love wants to throw this football out here to this out route right there. He takes a look, wants to throw it here, but sees the corner jump it, trying to look back to his underneath. This guy is pretty much open. So if the rush doesn't get there, he might have some options. The linebacker right here kind of spooks him away from that. And by the time he's able to go from 1 to 2 to 3, the stun up front gets him. And it's a beautiful stun up front worked by the defensive lineman. We're going to get a great view of it here in the end zone. It's the 2 on the outside. And I've spoken about Cashman earlier. He's a linebacker that can run D-line stunts very, very well. And it's rare. It's rare to have a guy who could play inside linebacker and do this. But what basically is going to happen is Cashman is going to just collapse this end in and allow Patrick Jones to step in and then loosen his way up. So when this ball snapped, watch the running back in protection. He's going to step up to try to solidify the left side of this offensive line, right? What he feels, what he sees right here, they're trying to crush that whole side down. But all Patrick Jones is doing is he's waiting patiently, saying, I'm going to occupy this tackle. And as soon as Cashman collapses this end, I am just going to loop around. And it works beautifully. But look at Jordan Love's eyes. He's looking out to his right. Remember, we talked about it in the flat. Nothing there. There's a safety waiting right here for this up route. So he goes away from that, wants to go to the backside, but on the corner of his eye, there's Patrick Jones right there. Not going to get it off, tries the loop, tries to get out. Another sack for Patrick Jones. All right, so it's the Jets, the Jets, Jets, in case you were wondering. It's already the second quarter, about almost 3 minutes left to go. The Vikings are up 17-0, so they're going to get aggressive here and say, we're going to show you. This is the look that you can see on TV, right? When you have just an absolute army of guys lined up on the line of scrimmage. And when you zero blitz, you can always outnumber the offense. The problem you have is you have one-on-ones across the board right here. So if the quarterback has time or can extend the play, it could be an absolute disaster. But in this case, and this is the thing, I don't understand what RODGERS is doing here. He knows what he's going to get. He has this look, unless he thinks they're going to pull out of it and drop somebody. But he knows, or should know, that he doesn't have time. And I know this because take a look as this play develops. Watch Tyler Conklin right down here at the bottom, right? The ball was just snapped. And Conklin right here, look what he's doing. He's looking back at the quarterback. He knows that when Harrison Smith, who was lined up over him, is blitzing, that's hot. That's what hot is. It means you block the blitzer by throwing the football quickly. So Conklin's doing his job. He's looking back at RODGERS saying, hey, throw me the ball. We got him beat. I can catch, run for a few yards. We get the first down. But RODGERS doesn't know. He doesn't feel it. He doesn't think he's getting the zero blitz, so he's not looking to go hot. It's a miscommunication. These two receivers up here, they're in their routes. They're not looking back. RODGERS has nowhere to go with his football. So completely getting the Jets offense off their game. Harrison Smith free off the edge. Boom, big sack, huge time in the game when the Vikings, they were already up. One quick note though, is you have extra guys on the line of scrimmage, and this is a little bit of a technique, a tweak, you would say, to the zero blitz, where not everybody just blitzes, right? So watch Van Ginkel right here. His job, he knows, is to occupy this offensive lineman. If he occupies him, he wins, because the real pressure is coming from the opposite side. So once this ball snapped, he's going to take a couple of steps up and understand that this guard, he's blocking me. We got a one-on-one here, all the way across the board. They can't pick up Harrison Smith. And we've said it before. When you face a zero blitz as an offense, you let the outside guy go because it gives you time. RODGERS has time. He could absolutely hit Conklin here before Harrison Smith gets there. But Van Ginkel steps up. He's just going to try to get underneath. That's how he picks some of these footballs off. That's how he makes some of these interceptions. It's pretty crazy. But he occupies his guy, does his job so the defense can work, and then drops himself out. And then look, Harry Smith off the edge, unblocked, big sack. Great job of executing the zero blitz against the Jets. Now, this is where Ivan Pace starts to heat up, and you can see how Flores wants to use him as a pass rusher, because he can beat a guard one-on-one, just like our other linebacker, Cashman. These interior linebackers are really good pass rushers. So put yourself in RODGERS' shoes again. What do you see prior to the snap? Well, you're seeing some type of middle open. Again, Metellus over here at safety, Harrison Smith here. You might be getting a five-man rush, some type of cover two, but you're not going to get what the Vikings show, because on the snap of the football, you're getting an overload blitz down here on the bottom, and you're getting Van Ginkel here to drop up. Now, Cashman jump bites way up on this play action, but technically you're going to have Van Ginkel, Cashman, and Harrison Smith, who's really inserting himself as an alley late flat defender on this side. So it's really 3 under 3 deep. So as Rodgers turns his head, he's not getting what he expects. But what he is going to get is a big, big face of full of Ivan Pace. I want to isolate Ivan Pace on this play because this is a guy winning one-on-one. Okay. The Jets have this thing blocked up. So from a 10,000 foot view, what are you getting here? He's dropping. These guys are all slanting inside off the edge. And then you're going to get Ivan Pace, the linebacker, to work his way in through that gap. Now, they have 5 guys. They can block this. They have enough guys to. The problem is they don't all get it done, right? Right here, they've got everything blocked up. They're keeping extra tight ends in to make sure that they have everything blocked up front. Again, we know you got them on the ropes when they stop dropping guys or keeping them out of routes and keeping them in for protection. But this is an offensive lineman against an inside linebacker. That's something that the Jets should win. But watch this move by Ivan Pace. His lateral ability is almost second to none. Comes underneath, stays with it. Greenard doing a good job keeping Rodgers in the pocket. He has nowhere to go. And you get the second sack of the day. But Ivan Pace, really, really good when he's blitzing up the middle of an offensive line. And finally, the third sack of the evening against Aaron Rodgers. Another zone blitz. Different type of a look. Harrison Smith here on the outside. Again, moving around. Again, trying to make the offense not 100% certain about what they're going to get. But the concept here is sending 5 and getting somebody to win up front. This is, again, another simple, really 3 under right here. Metellus, Cashman, Harrison Smith, 3D. We've seen this a number of times. It's a little bit of a different stunt up front, as we're going to see from the end zone. But the result is getting Rodgers on the ground. This time, it's Harrison Phillips with a big win up front, right? Harrison Smith walking around. Now, he doesn't do this randomly. There's a reason for this. He showed earlier blitzing off the edge. We saw it, sack in the backfield. So you have to respect him when he's here. His versatility, his ability to blitz is important. A little bit different of a stunt up front. This time, you're going to see Greenard trying to work his way underneath, and Ivan Pace, instead of working on the guard, will be blitzing from the outside. So a bit of a twist, but it's Harrison Phillips right here who just absolutely destroys this guard one-on-one. Now, you know, I take a look at Javon Hargrave and, you know, and Jonathan Allen. I mean, you're going to have some other really good interior pass rushers. They're going to be able to do the same thing. But on this snap, Harrison Phillips looping outside, guard just complete total whiff. Rodgers at the top of his drop, absolutely nowhere to go. When you can win one-on-one up front, these 5-man rushes become very, very deadly. Now, at the time, I absolutely loved this call because this is the first quarter, the first second long. This is 2nd and 17, the first chance that you had to get the Lions, you know, in behind the sticks, if you will. But to be this aggressive, I just love this mentality. Now, you'll see before the snap, a lot of talking going on, whether they're checking in or checking out. You get emotion, and now they're sorting this whole thing out again. And it's very important that the defense is all on the same page. So whatever you had going on, because sometimes you call defense and have to check out of it. But in this case, they're getting back into it. And what do you see? 0 blitz, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 defenders. You have 6 guys walked up on the line of scrimmage. Goff might think he's getting that. He saw the tape against the Jets. Is he going to get it? Is he not? But you can always blitz more than they can block. And in this case, you get some great coverage down the field. Not really anywhere we can go. No short breaking route. Goff, for some reason, dashes to his right on his drop, really right into the arms of Andrew Van Ginkel. And we're going to see a great shot of this in the end zone. Is just by the communication right here. Everybody has to hit the right gap if you're going to get somebody free. But right before this ball is snapped, the Vikings say, all right, we're going to put this thing back on. Here we go. Grugier Hill talking it up. It's going to be the outside. We mentioned this. Good offenses, what do? You turn the outside guy because he has the most amount of time. It's going to give the quarterback some time. But watch Goff on this as he takes his snap. For some reason, his drop, he just drops right into this, which is really bizarre. I don't know what he was thinking he was getting, but his starts moving to his right into the arms of Van Ginkel, and you get the sack. So early on in this game, being aggressive, you got to beat these Lions. You got to figure out how. Now, football is just a shell game, right? We saw earlier the Vikings blitzing, coming on a zero blitz. Van Ginkel gets free. Look what they're showing here. Now, this is important because this is a 3rd and 3 with in the first quarter still, about 10:47. So not too long after the first sack, but look what the Vikings are showing Goff on this play as they're getting their protection set and guys are moving around. Goff is looking at this defense saying, all right, I might be getting a zero blitz look, right? You have a corner here for the tight end, safety on the running back. You've got 3-on-3 on this side. So he is thinking pressure. But he's getting anything but that. It ends up, once this thing gets snapped and developed on a 3rd and 3, you're getting Tampa 2 with the extra dropper. This is only a 3-man rush, right? You have Josh Metellus here in the middle of the field, 2 safeties. You have 5 underneath with the extra dropper to handle anything short, which you would want to do on 3rd and 3. But watch Metellus. This is huge. Reading the eyes of Goff. Once Goff looks off the front side and pivots to here, you'll see just a beautiful play here. Is just Metellus getting underneath the outlet, nowhere to go for Goff. So he's going to try to pull this thing down and scramble, and he ends up getting tackled just at the line of scrimmage, drawing a hold. So this goes down as a sack. But again, showing one thing, playing another. They had been successful on a zero blitz not too long ago. They give it the same look, but you're getting anything but that again with this Detroit offensive line. They're trying to figure it out, sort it out, making sure they're going to be big on big. And what do you get? You got all these guys underneath. Metellus reading the eyes of the quarterback. This is the route that's coming open underneath. As soon as he looks, Metellus is breaking that way, so Goff decides to pull that thing down. Ivan Pace steps up, makes the sack. So a great job of showing one thing and giving something completely different. All right, so now we're getting into crunch time here. It's 4th quarter. Vikings are down 28-20. You see the Lions, they're just past midfield. So if they get this ball any further, they're going to be in field goal range. The defense needs a stop. And when you need a stop, this is when your best players need to make plays, right? So while we watch this play start out, you look at what you're getting. It's really hard to tell what Goff is going to get from a coverage standpoint. However, I'm sure he expected Patrick Jones to be rushing. Instead, he's going to drop out, and it's going to be more of a 4-under 3-deep type of a look. But it's what they do up front that really, really matters. And we're going to get a great shot of this from the end zone. Is we've seen in week prior, remember, we didn't have Cashman in this game. So Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, different guys had to kind of help out. And we've seen this many times before where you get a 4-man type of a look. You're going to drop one of the defensive ends, loop these guys underneath, and then blitz Van Ginkel right here up the middle and hopefully get him one-on-one with a running back. You get a mismatch, right? You have a very, very good outside linebacker against a running back. But none of that matters. It's only a 4-man rush. You're playing regular coverage. But watch what Jonathan Greenard does on the outside against Taylor Decker. This is a thing of beauty. This is really the first time that we've seen a 4-man rush with somebody really just beating a guy. This is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Greenard coming up huge. Goes to the hands, slaps those hands away. I mean, that's just a beautiful move. Decker is expecting pressure. And the accuracy and the quickness of the hands here can't be under, you just can't sell it short. This right here, this ability to hit the hands, get it away, and then get that left leg inside and around. Now you're seeing the back of Decker's jersey. This guy's beat, gets to the quarterback, sack, force fumble. Unfortunately for the Vikings, Goff was able to land on it, but just a huge play at a huge time by Jonathan Greenard. Okay, it doesn't get any bigger than this, where the Vikings are up 29-28. 3rd and 6, 4th quarter with a little over 5 minutes left to go. They need a stop right here and hopefully turn around and get a 2-score lead. This is when big plays need to be made. And you see what the Vikings are doing when you're in third and medium. It's hard to play zone because it's too easy to just throw and catch and be able to move the chain. So they're going to go with a man-to-man look, right? It looks, everybody pressed up, rolled up across the board. You have 2 deep safeties, so it looks a little bit like 2-man. Goff doesn't scramble well, so you're going to show it and maybe play that a little bit more. But it ends up being more of a combo coverage, and Goff really doesn't have anywhere to go with his football. So instead of having 2 safeties deep, what you have is Harrison Smith right here. He's really technically the deep middle defender, but this guy in the slot, this wide receiver in the slot, this is Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? So when you're playing man, the position is so important. Slot defender playing the outside. So if Amon-Ra runs anything to the flat, you have the defender here, and you're taking your other safety, in this case Cam Bynum, who's going to help on the inside, right? As this play goes, Amon-Ra breaks. He's double teamed essentially here. So you have maybe hit this fade right here, right? But you have a deep middle safety for help. Double team on Detroit's best receiver, nowhere to go anywhere else. Now the rush gets to him, and this line game up front is really seeing Van Ginkel and Greenard work together. It's kind of a thing of beauty. But what are we seeing from the front? Again, just a 4-man rush. These are the times that you have to find a way to win, and it's a great line game up front. You're going to see Van Ginkel really come real hard down on this guard Glasgow. He actually kind of gets a piece of him. And what Greenard will end up doing is not necessarily working underneath Decker, but he's going to work a spin move, right? So it gives him the opportunity. He hits the spin move. He's going to work his way underneath. That doesn't work so well. But watch Van Ginkel right here. He has a hold of Glasgow. He's trying to keep Glasgow from working out to help with Greenard because the center has turned his way. So this is smart by Van Ginkel to hold on. It's really, didn't get the holding call, but really to hold on to Glasgow, try to get some penetration, and then once that purple flashes underneath, he loops himself around because he knows he has contained responsibility here on the outside. So Greenard with the underneath flushes Jared Goff, right? And then Van Ginkel is there to really clean these things up. There's the fumble or throw, I don't know what that was. And then look at Glasgow over here on the outside. He's talking to the official. He's saying, hey, didn't you see that? And the referee's going, hey, I'm standing behind the line of scrimmage. I can't see a face mask call. How am I going to see that? So overall, you're seeing what happens to offenses when they're not 100% sure. But then later on in this reel, we're seeing just 4-man rushes make it home. And the ability for all of our defensive players, all of our D linemen, our outside linebackers, our inside linebackers, they all run pass rush stunts so well. This group's versatility is a key, and the ability to use all those tools is what makes them so good. That's why we got the 49 sacks last year.